The year 2020 was extremely challenging and difficult on many fronts in Nigeria. Some major events and incidents that had a rippling effect on the nation, from politics to economy, health, and security, ranging from the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which in its second wave continues to destroy businesses and livelihoods, the kidnappings and banditry across the north, the unending war on Boko Haram insurgents, impunity which has replaced democratic decision-making, abuse of citizens' rights, attack on dissent and free speech, and the unaccountable use of public funds without recourse to the demands of transparency and probity has become the norm. With us to look at these issues and the state of the nation is Comrade Deji Adeyanju, the convener of Concern Nigeria. Comrade Deji, it's a pleasure having you on SaharaTV.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my brother, for having me on the show again today. Happy New Year and Happy New Year to everyone.
Deji, let's start with the state of insecurity in the country. Recently, Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu had asked herdsmen to leave the state's forest reserves within 7 days. Apart from ejecting the herdsmen, Akeredolu also banned underage grazing, night grazing, movement of cattle within the cities and highways. But the presidency, in a statement yesterday by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, said Akeredolu lacked the power to unilaterally sack herdsmen from Ondo Forest. There's been back and forth. Let's get your initial reactions to this.
Yes, thank you so much, my brother, once again for having me. But let me start by paraphrasing the words of the former Secretary of the Government Federation, Babachi Lawada. Who is the presidency? Who is the presidency? Is it not when we have a presidency that will acclaim, or give credit to some presidency? We are running an autopilot government where nobody is in charge, where anybody can just come and say anything. You'll be surprised that Garba Shehu is only acting a script that is only known to him. The president is not aware, and that's why you can see many people believe that the person in charge is not even the president. Because there's a great lacuna in government, in governance in the country. There's a leadership vacuum in the country, and President Buhari is not in charge. Because if he was in charge, has it gotten to that extent? Has it gotten so bad that a state governor now has to act as commander-in-chief? In some part of the federation, and we run a federalism in this country. The constitution is very clear, on things that are, the constitution is extremely clear on things that are on the exclusive legislative list. Security is part of those things that are on the exclusive legislative list. I don't see why, because the government has failed in all ramifications. So the governor of Ondo State must live up to the expectation, because you look at is it not the same government that has considered the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway to bandits? They are not doing anything. They've given up completely. The president's home state, they've considered, a large chunk of the president's home state to bandits. So where is the presidency when over 200 school boys were adopted in the president's home state? Bandits are having a field day on Kaduna-Abuja Express Road, just right here in the FCT. This is a road that is less than 220 kilometers, that in a federation that we cannot police, we cannot effectively police and manage that road that everybody is using, and you expect the governor of Ondo State to fold his arms and do nothing, and we now have charlatans who are hanging around the corridor of power, who are grandstanding by issuing baseless statements here and there. These are people who, if we have any decency in this country, these are people who should go to jail, for undermining, the advancement and the development of this country. But this is what you get when people vote incompetent, clueless, and inept people into power. And that's why we say that there must be consequences for bad behavior. Because Nigerians have behaved badly in the past by voting a known dictator into power. So they must definitely reap the fruits of their labor, and whether you voted or you refuse to vote, or they rigged and you refuse to stop the rigging, we are all complicit in this, and we must face the consequences of our action. The same Rotimi Akeredolu today that is weeping, he was among those people who still came to campaign for Buhari for second term. You know, so today he's weeping, and he's doing a 360-degree on the same Messiah that he told Nigerians to vote again in 2019. So these people must realize that we must always put ahead of our personal interest, the interest of the nation at all times.
The Constitution in Section 14, subsection 2, makes the security and welfare of the people the primary essence of governance. And any government that cannot guarantee the lives and properties of the people does not deserve to be in office. But the Constitution that the presidency seems to be referring to, some have argued that it's been misconceived and misinterpreted. That is Section 43, which grants people the right to own properties anywhere in Nigeria. Can that be construed as taking other people's properties? And what has this government done to actually assure people that they can actually protect lives, considering the open murders of that has taken place in Ondo State, for instance?
You see, our constitution itself is a paradox of some sort, because if you look at it, Section 14 sub 2 that you quoted, you know, it has given something in one hand, and then and it goes further to say that that chapter of the constitution, chapter 2, is non-justiciable. So you cannot come and say that, oh, you cannot enforce this. You say that providing security and well-being of the people is the primary responsibility of government. Then you again now say, oh, these are non-justiciable rights. So what rights have the Constitution given to any citizen? Oh, you say somebody has the right to move freely. So does that right also include you annexing people's land, destroying farmlands, you know, and killing people in the process? You know, because you must take laws holistically, especially when it comes to the interpretation. If you go to the interpretation sections of our laws, you will see that what was the intent? What was the intent behind the law? The intent is to protect, safeguard, you know, and unite the country. The intent is to ensure that you do not infringe on the rights of others while you are enjoying your rights. So there is no way that somebody will leave his state to go and be terrorizing people in another state and say people should not complain. Because people in Ondo have not left their state to go and terrorize the people in the other states. So it sums up, the summary of this all is that we do not have a president in the country. And that's why the country has drifted so far off the path, you know, of anything that has any semblance of governance. And what we are seeing today is abracadabra economy. We are running the country practically on inshallah, you know, and Konibaje, you know, theories. So you find a situation where leaders who have been elected to solve problems are telling citizens to pray. That prayer is the only way out. So what then can come out of a government that has admitted that it cannot do anything, that urges the citizens to pray, that it does not have ideas about insecurity? This government has urged the Nigerians to pray about insecurity. The clown that issued a statement against the Ondo State government has also said that Nigerians should pray if they want insecurity to be overcome. So when you look at it critically, then you realize that until Nigerians stop electing incompetent, clueless, you know, and inept people, you know, that we will not stop experiencing things like this.
Now let's look at the way that Governor Akeredolu had handled his, the insecurity in his state, and juxtapose it with what the governor of Zamfara had done. I mean, recently, a former chairman of a local government in Zamfara State, Alhaji Abubakar Maradu, had accused Governor Bello Matawale of supplying vehicles to bandits, alleging that Matawale gave the bandits Hilux vehicles, which they used to attack innocent residents. In fact, he made a statement, let me quickly quote him. He said, "These bandits have been using the vehicles to kidnap, kill, and rape innocent people, and the press has been silent." I mean, even Sahara reporters actually reported this story, as a matter of fact, to the extent that the Zamfara State government had yesterday threatened to sue Sahara reporters over the publication, exposing the gifts given to repentant bandits by this same governor. I mean, what's your view, especially with the way Matawale has been handling this fate of banditry in his state?
Nigeria is the only country where they will tell you that terrorists repent. They repent just like that. That terrorists repent, terrorists have turned a new leaf. They use all kinds of grammatical expressions and idiomatic expressions to justify the stupidity that they call governance in this part of the world. Because there's nowhere in the world where this kind of charlatanism will be accepted. Not even in Museveni's Uganda will this rubbish be accepted. Because you look at the issues plaguing our country, you know, then again you begin to wonder that maybe there's a bigger picture that we are not seeing. Because again, you look at it to say maybe the government is actually the one behind all this. Maybe they want insecurity to persist so that they continue to have a free day at siphoning the resources of the country. Because why would the Zamfara State government deny? We saw the hillocks. We saw them presenting the hillocks to the bandits. And bandits don't repent. The more you patronize them, the more havoc they're going to cause, and the more you are encouraging other innocent citizens who are law-abiding to go and join them. So there is no way that you can tell us that terrorists have repented, and therefore you are going to pay them, you are going to give them preferential treatment, and you are. So the message you're passing to the law-abiding citizens is that it does not pay to be law-abiding. It pays that criminality pays. So, and that is why Boko Haram, is massively recruiting people every day, because people have seen that it is profitable, to engage in terrorist acts. And that is why what we have been screaming since 2015 to this government, that the government must stop negotiating with terrorists, that the government must go hard against terrorists, and stop sponsoring them. So the current government, whether it be Zamfara State government, whether it be federal government, they are the #1 sponsor of Boko Haram. They are the #1 sponsor of bandits and terrorist groups in the country, because they have done so by their acts time and time again. And the military, the police, the security agencies, they are not helping. Because why should we by now be begging Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces to sack service chiefs? By now. So you can see that the president is complicit. He knows what he's doing. These things that they are doing is not by mistake. I believe that there's a larger agenda that these guys are working at.
That's serious. Now, let me get it. What lesson is there for all governors to take hold of their territory and safeguard the lives and properties of people at this point in time? I mean, if Buhari's government has actually lost the plot.
Yeah, the lesson to learn from this is that whether we like it or not, this Professor Ali Munziri said in his book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, that necessity is the mother of invention. Emergencies such as what we are currently witnessing in Ondo and other places, have created the necessity for governors to think outside the box, because it's a battle of survival now. So governors must reinvent the wheel. They must technically restructure in such a way that they can safeguard and protect their people. Because if we do not do what is right, Ondo State will also soon become like the den of kidnappers, and banditry, and school students are going to be abducted. Ransom is going to be, because this is an ever willing, ready to pay ransom government. So, and ransom is going to be paid, and people are going to be paying taxes in Ondo like the way they pay taxes to Boko Haram in Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, and several parts of the country now. So it is a wake-up call to the governors, and especially the governors forum, that they must reinvent the wheel. They must be courageous, because we have seen Akeredolu demonstrate courage, because they are members of the same political party. It does not matter whether because they are members of the same political parties, those states is going to burn Akeredolu will fold his hand. So the governors must be courageous. They must come together. We have seen the Southwest governors they did something by creating a security network. Same can be done in the Southeast. Same can be done in the South. Same can be done in the North Central, in the Northeast, in the Northwest. So if the federal government has failed and the states begin to restructure, it becomes, because the Constitution has recognized each of the federating units in the country. All the states have been mentioned by name in the Constitution. So they are recognized entities in the country. So you cannot say because the federal government is supposed to play big brother role and the big brother is failing to play his role, therefore the younger ones should not act to safeguard themselves. So it is within their rights to protect and safeguard their people.
Let me get your perspective too on this issue. A controversial Christmas message of the Catholic Bishop of Sokoto, the Sokoto Diocese, that's Bishop Batu Hassan Kuka, in which he criticized President Muhammadu Buhari's administration, has continued to generate a lot of reactions in recent time from different quarters. While some personalities and groups have accused him of calling for a coup, others have commended him for speaking the truth to power. Your thought on this?
There's nothing controversial about what Bishop Kuka said. Bishop Kuka said the truth. We all know that what he said was the truth. The president has been not only tribalistic, he has done unimaginable things since he came into office. Things that if we had been told in our dreams, that we would have denied that there's no way that any president in Nigeria can ever do such things. He has done it and he has gotten away with it. And he has set an evil and bad precedent that if a president from any part of the country comes tomorrow and he does same, nobody can complain. So these are evil, these are unacceptable precedents that the president has set, and we must call him out for all these acts. And anyone who says otherwise is an enemy of the country. So for that, Bishop Kuka is a hero. He must be celebrated by all lovers of this country and lovers of democracy. In fact, and no wonder the Vatican has promoted him. So, and in the minds of every right-thinking Nigerian, Father Kuka will always be a hero. He has been telling truth to power for decades now, and that cannot change. And those who overthrew a democratically elected government cannot suddenly become Democrats overnight. It's not done like that. These guys who are currently in power, they have a track record, of always being on the wrong side of history, and they will not change anytime soon. So nobody should expect any change from the Buhari gang. They are not planning to change, and I believe that they are not even pretending about it. So we should not expect anything meaningful from this government in the next 2 years thereabout until the conclusion of their tenure. That's
actually deplorable and ominous. I mean, let me also get your reaction on one of the statements I actually made, that there could have been a coup if a non-Northern Muslim president had done a fraction of what Buhari did, considering the fact that he accused the presidents of turning nepotism into a state policy and institutionalizing Northern hegemony by reducing others in public life to second-class status. Do you foresee there could be a coup?
Yes. If any other tribe had done what Buhari has been doing in the last 5 years, but Kuka is right, that the North will have revolted and there will have been a coup. I agree with Father Kuka 100%, because he who seeks equity must always do equity. And see, those who come to equity must come with clean hands. The North is always coming to equity. That, when Jonathan was president for 5 years, the North were even saying Jonathan was president for 6 years. El-Rufai was the chief architect of always saying that it was 6 years. When it was evident to everyone that Jonathan was in power for only 5 years. And all the critical stakeholders in the Jonathan government were Northerners. But the North were still calling Jonathan an job president. And they were accusing him of all kinds of things. But look at what Buhari has done today. Just look at almost every key appointment in the country is from a section of the country. Almost the entire security architecture of the country is in a particular zone. And they have refused to retire any of them. The IG of police about to retire. I can stake it that the next IG of police, they're going to, in fact, they've started the plot already to retire people from a certain part of the country to pave way for somebody again from that zone. So you look at it critically and you realize that every single thing Father Kuka has said is the gospel truth and everybody knows it. So we should not be afraid to speak truth to power, and which is one thing that we must always commend Father Kuka for. Whether anybody likes it or not, the truth has been said, and it's not going to be unsaid. You know, Farakuka is not bothered in the least about the blabbings and the noise making going around here and there. You know, and one thing that is very important is something very, very about governance in this country is that people always change the rules when people from their part of the country are in power. But just wait till when power goes back to the South and see how the North will be vicious in criticizing the next president of Nigeria. You know, so, and that's why I say he who seeks equity must do equity at all times. You cannot only do equity when you want to benefit. But when it's time for others to benefit you, you are unjust. So basically, equity is not just about a concept, it's about equality. You must, and that's why in our constitution we have the federal character. The constitution says you cannot appoint people just like that. You must put in fact, the essence of this our federalism is because of ethnic minorities. People were being marginalized. We now say, oh, let's create more states, let's have federal character, let's do this. The man has come to destroy all that. So, and those were the complaints of Father Kuka.
The fact that Nigeria has crossed the 100,000 COVID-19 cases, it seems to be, it's not a good sign at all. And we seems not to be prepared for what is to come. How will you assess the dereliction of duty with regards to the handling of the pandemic so far by this government?
Well, you know, like I said earlier, we are running a government of Inshallah and Konibaje, prayer and fasting. In fact, the head of the government said we should pray, that there's nothing that can be done. And, you know, in our country is the only country in the world where we torture statistics, you know, and we can doctor almost anything. Since I have been born till today, I've been hearing of different statistics. Nobody has ever come to my house to take a survey. Every year, every month and yearly, the National Bureau of Statistics churn out figures, inflation, unemployment. I don't know how they arrive at these statistics. They just sit down in one place and come up with figures. You know, Nigeria as a country has not learned anything. Our healthcare sector has not developed. Equipments have not been purchased. New hospitals have not been built. Old have not been revamped or refurbished or renovated. No lesson has been learned. It's just business as usual. The only thing that has changed is that the political elite and government officials now they had more funds to loot in the names of sharing palliatives to people, and it's just business as usual. So our country has not learned anything, you know, and nothing is going to change in the nearest future. So as far as I am concerned, you know, nothing has changed. Absolutely nothing has changed.
Now, finally, can this country survive another 2 years of this administration?
Well, the country cannot survive because already you can see from what the president, the government is saying, that they want to sell government assets to fund 2021 budget. So we do not know where they will get money to fund the next year budget or that of the concluding part of their administration in 2023. However, one thing I can assure you is that President Buhari will not rest until he completely bankrupts this country. You know, this was what he did when he was the military head of state, and this is exactly what he's doing now. President Buhari is established in failure. 2 recessions under him, under 5 years, he's going to destroy the economy more. This is a man who has borrowed money from everywhere. There's nowhere in the world that President Buhari, the government has not borrowed money. You know, they've stolen and borrowed money of the dead people, pensioners. They've done the unimaginable. So there is no way that the country can survive. You know, look at how they've bastardized our currency. The currency is so worthless now that even for you to buy a common thing as an iPhone, Nigerians are crying. It's not as if the price of iPhone has changed, but the value of the naira has been so depleted and is almost worthless. The only thing left for them now is to begin to print money, begin to print more money and make the naira more worthless, and so that we get to a point of India, of Uganda, Army of Uganda's era of worthless currencies. So that is the only thing left for the government to start doing. So for me, I do not see anything changing anytime soon. I feel so sorry for the next president of Nigeria because he's going to inherit calamity in the name of the country.
Convener Adeyanju, thank you so much for your insightful analysis. It's always a pleasure having you on Sahara TV.